press conference here before the town hall meeting. As we stated last week, we believe this town hall meeting is being held prematurely and dishonestly. As long as Tye Anders is facing felony charges for frivolous evading arrest stop, we believe that this town hall is being used to pacify the citizens of Midland. And we think that the mayor and city leadership, they need to address the fact that there are standing charges for Tye. The fact of the matter is, he did not run a stop sign, but yet he's facing a felony for this, something that can stain him for the rest of his life. When we talk about a person with felonies, it's hard for them to get employment, it's hard for them to get jobs, it's hard for them to get schooling, education, it's hard for them to even rent an apartment. So they endeavor to hamper Tye's life severely due to the fact that they want to cover their own butts, because there simply was not a violation in which Tye deserved to have multiple high caliber pistols hoisted at him and his grandmother in his grandmother's front yard. So I think they're trying to find a way to justify this in which that it gets the public off of their backs and it also justifies their actions. What we have seen since May 16th, we've seen public outcry here in Midland, but we've seen it across the country. And it's even bubbled yesterday when you have folks like Ava DuVernay, Jay-Z, Rock Nation, and other high-profile celebrities getting a hold of this case and really taking great attention into what actually occurred on May 16th, but also what the outcome is going to be. It's important that the city of Midland sees this community coalesce here today, but also see the greater community of folks across this country who endeavor to see the end of police brutality and racial profiling in this country. So what we're going to do is today, I'm going to take some questions, but I also want to introduce some folks who are going to be providing some statements for you guys. I have Pastor Brian Phelps. He's a Midland native, and now he pastors his own church in Dallas, Texas. But also have Marciela Chavez and her son, is it Luis? Luis and Fernando. Fernando is her nephew, correct?
No, it's my son, 6-year-old.
So her two sons, they were actually brutalized by cops less than a month ago. Kicked in the chest while they were prone on the ground. I think they were actually kneeling on the ground at the cops' commands, but they were actually kicked for no apparent reason. They actually just got a letter back from the Midland, I believe it was the city of Midland today. Was it today or yesterday?
No, I got it last week.
She got it last week saying that those actions were justified. Two young men obeying police commands, getting kicked in the chest individually and separately. And they're saying that those actions were justified. This shows that there is an insidious trend in this city that allows for police brutality against minorities. We're not going to stand for it. Pastor Phelps, please provide a statement, and then I'll take some questions.
Good evening, and thank you for being here. We are here simply because injustice has happened here, and it continues to happen. Martin Luther King Jr. once said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Anyone with eyes can see that something has been festering here for centuries, for years, which is reminiscent of the kind of hyper-policing, vigilante behavior on the bodies of the oppressed that reverberates in ways unknown and confounding. We're seeing that, and Midland, Texas is no exception. We are here because justice is deserved here. People here deserve justice. People here deserve to have their voices heard. And as a person who is from Midland, as a black young man from the city of Midland, I myself have had my own fair share of harassment due to the hyper-policing that happens in this city. And so we are here as people of faith, people of justice, people of love, for all of God's beloved, to tell the world that injustice is here and we won't allow for it anymore. And so Tye and these young men here, their names are now listed in the names of those, or with the names of those whose bodies were harassed and violated by vigilante behavior, such as Fannie Lou Hamer, Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, the list goes on, Emmett Till, the list goes on and on. And so we're here to say enough is enough. Enough is enough, and we want our voices heard, and we want to ensure that justice is granted to these young men, black and brown, or otherwise.
Briefly before we open it up to you guys. So it's important to address vigilante behavior by law enforcement. There's no place in this country for vigilante type of pathos to exist between law enforcement and any law enforcement agency. And what we've seen here with these two boys and their occurrence, or their issues with Midland PD and Tye Anders, isn't vigilante justice. This is state-sanctioned terror. They're terrorized by the Midland PD. But but also it was sanctioned by the mayor of Midland, in which he, for all intents and purposes, tried to provide justification after justification for something that was not justified. So we need to address this on the nose, up front, and be honest about what happened. None of this pacifying stuff here that this town hall endeavors to be. So I just want to get that clear. This wasn't vigilante justice in these two cases, although we condemn that full-throatedly. These two cases, these two incidences, that's a trend of insidious, state-sanctioned violence and terror. We will not stand for that. Questions?
Other than dropping the charges against Tye, what would you like the city of Midland to do to correct these injustices that you're seeing?
We would like for an outside agency to investigate the city of Midland and the police department. I mean, ever since taking this case, I've received an overwhelming amount of calls. And Marciella even reached out. That's how I found out about my 2 weeks. And I've been, getting tale and story after story about how Midland PD is terrorizing its citizens. Predominantly, it's Black and brown citizens. So we need somebody to come in and investigate this police agency, because honestly, what we've seen even over the past week, if these issues go unchecked, it could turn out to be fatal for some of these folks. And we would hope to get in front of these issues before someone dies. And I mean, there could have been issues of fatal brutality already that I'm not aware of. But nevertheless, starting at this point here today, going forward, we want to make sure we can get in front of this issue to ensure nobody loses their life.
Is there any concern with the elderly lady that no one came to move her out of the way?
Oh, I mean, of course. I mean, it just goes to show how police treat people of color in this country. They treat us less than. You have a 90-year-old woman. I mean, someone who doesn't pose themselves as being a threat. And they take even the longest amount of time to lower their pistols when she walks outside. I mean, what is the threat with her? Is it her cane? She's barely moving at any type of rate of speed in which that could either show herself to be any type of threat towards officers. So, I mean, we believe, there's obviously there's a training issue there where you can't lower your guns when you see an old woman walking up to the scene trying to de-escalate. So, I mean, we didn't see any real concern from officers there. There's going to be another issue that we asked for an outside agency to investigate. They treat their elderly citizens who happen to be a minority. Do they treat elderly minorities differently than how they treat white minorities? White elderly citizens. So we want a full-throw investigation into everything that occurred in 2016.
What outside agency are you looking at to come in?
The Texas Rangers. We've seen a spate of issues going around the country in which the FBI is coming and investigating police agencies. So we definitely want to appeal to the FBI. The fact of the matter is this case has garnered national attention. So we're going to use that attention and leverage it to try and get an FBI investigation into the police department in Midland. I think it's deserving. What we've seen here over the past month, these two separate families, and just the trend of violence that I've seen from folks who have called me and alerted me to it, I think it's deserving of an outside agency to come in and fully, thoroughly investigate this law enforcement agency. And also the mayor's office, if they are complicit with how they render sanctions to their police officers.
What do you say to those who watch the police footage and think that the police are doing their job correctly? What do you say to those Midlanders and people outside of them?
I say, well, I'm not talking directly to them. I'm really kind of diagnosing them. They have implicit bias. They have readily chosen to not see, how Tye was terrorized by these police officers. They readily chose to, stick their foot in the ground and say Tye's going to be wrong, regardless of what's depicted on camera. Because what's depicted on camera just doesn't justify what the police has put in their police reports. They said that Tye Anders ran a stop sign. Where on that camera footage did he run a stop sign? But they also conveniently put on their narrative when they released I think it was a protracted version of the footage. The first thing that they put as soon as the video started was, you're not going to see Tye Anders running a stop sign. It happened before the camera started rolling. How convenient is that? This is not going to jive with us. Either he did or he didn't. And either your dash cam and body cam footage, which is put in place to cover officers and make sure that what they're putting in their police reports is actually factual. If that's not depicted on those accountability mechanisms, then it didn't exist. It didn't exist. We don't know if he's telling the truth or not. and I submit to you that he's not telling the truth. He fabricated a police report, which is actually a felony offense. So, I mean, we're gonna fight Tye's case as much as we can. We're gonna defend it as much as we can. We're gonna provide all the zealous advocacy that we can muster. There's no way he should be facing a felony charge. But if the district attorney chooses not to dismiss it, we're gonna be forced to try it in court. But if and when we win, we're gonna be pushing for criminal charges to be pressed against this officer. No way should you terrorize a young man the way that he did and then justify it with a lie in a police report. That shouldn't happen.
Are you still planning to pursue civil litigation?
We're still doing our investigation, but I think if we get to the point to where we can fully defend Tye of these charges, and we start pushing for a criminal prosecution for this officer for lying and fabricating his police report, I think a malicious prosecution claim could be ripe. So yeah, we're running to contact here. We're not shying from it at all.
Have you been in contact with Patrick Payton while in town?
Well, I actually just ran into him right now. He gave me his email address. He told me to reach out to him, but I don't think this case is in his hands anymore. He essentially allowed the district attorney to have it at this point, which also begs the question: why in the hell is he having this if this is out of his hands? The district attorney should be having this. She should be addressing why Tye Anders is still facing criminal prosecution. But yet, nevertheless, that's a question they don't want to answer. So,
how is Tye doing?
Tye is doing okay. He's a fighter. I mean, he shook up for sure. I mean, he had 4 or 5 high-caliber pistols pointed at him and his grandmother. I mean, just imagine the type of trauma that he felt from that incident. So, I mean, we're going to talk to Tye. I'm going to encourage that he goes to counseling. I'm going to encourage that he gets every type of support that he can get for this event, because ultimately, if he is feeling some residual effects from May 16th, that's Midland PD's doing. They're going to have to address that. So, make sure we get in front of that before Tye.
Is this grandmother doing okay?
I haven't spoken with is it Miss Peggy? I haven't spoken with Miss Peggy, but I presume she's okay. But nevertheless, we're going to make sure she hasn't experienced any long-term injuries, because I mean that's a hard fall for a 9-year-old woman, right? And if the police cause her to experience something that's long-lasting, that's going to affect her health, it's going to be another issue that we got to contend with in court. Marcella, would you like to address the media about your boys and the notice that you received?
Hello, my name is Marcella, and I'm also out here once again, for my boys, because they also were gunpoint kicked to the floor when they already had their knees on the floor, and I just don't feel that should have happened. They did nothing wrong. They weren't charged with anything. Their truck was not searched. I mean, to me, I see it racist again, and maybe I might be wrong for bringing this up, but in early April, we had that police officer that was also, in the apartment complex with a gun, drunk. 2 weeks later, he ran into a pole, barricaded himself. I want to see how he was treated. And today I'm here because I want the footage cam with my kids as well. Just like they released Tye's, release my kids. If they were in the wrong, I want to see. I think I have the right, because I am the mother of a 16-year-old that was kicked that night. And I want justice.
And to that point, what she just detailed is abuse of a child, which is another felony offense. So if these 2 young gentlemen aren't facing any criminal charges, that means there was no justification for them being kicked in the chest. So we would like for that officer, was it 1 officer or 2?
It was 2. Michael Ball, and the other officer was Corzan, I can't say his name.
We want those 2 officers to be facing felony charges for abuse to a child.
If I would have kicked my son that way, I'm sure I would have been charged for
You would
child
have lost
abuse
your
myself.
children. She would have lost her children if she would have kicked her children.
So let's do it all even. We're all humans here. Let's get justice all the way across.
So the point here, and this is the last statement, and Brian, if you want to make a comment too, but I think it's important to note that just because you're blue, it doesn't make you above the law, right? We have 2 incidences here that shows that police in Midland, they are being treated as if they are above the law. That's why we need a federal investigation into this police department.
Just to address what's already been addressed, we believe that injustice exists here. Those of us who are here reflecting some of our nation's leading advocacy groups, we are here to show that there are folks on the ground committed to ensuring that justice is served here and everywhere. This is our legacy. Over 150 years of advocacy is represented at this place, at this moment, to suggest and to posit to this nation that we will no longer stand for the kind of injustices that this city in particular has faced. So we pray that this city will do right by its people. If not, the righteous will take it by force and by faith. All right?
Thank you, guys.